Hello readers, I'm Amy and I'm your nonfiction feminist. So, Backlist book challenge. I'm finally putting up my TBR. I'm really excited for this. I'm waiting till last minute because of the library prompt, because I don't want to have gotten my TBR prepared 2 weeks ago and then only have 1 week left to read a book, you know? So, let's get started with this. Backlist book challenge. Hello Dimitri, would you like to join me? Come here, buddy. Come on. Okay. Hi. I got kitty cuddles. See the kitty? Alright, number 1 rule for my backlist book challenge was no books published after 2010. So, I will go through and tell you a little bit about the books, tell you my publishing dates. Are you gonna lay there or fall off? He's hanging off the edge here. He's very carefully balanced on my lap, and my camera is not. Okay, that's gonna work. That's good. First prompt that we have here is to read a mass paperback. So, I am finally going to give myself a chance to try Mistborn. This is the mass paperback version, obviously. I have a friend practically yelling in my ear to read this book already. Mistborn, published 2006, or at least this copy was published 2006. And this is a fantasy. All I really know about it is that it starts off with the villain having already won, and then we go from there, so that sounds really interesting. This would also work for the read a used book prompt, because this is used. I got it at the Friends of the Library book sale in April, and it's also a genre that I don't typically reach for, which is another one of the prompts, because it's fantasy. I don't read a lot of fantasy. I'm struggling with a fantasy book that I am currently trying and failing to read. So the second prompt was to go to the library, pick a random shelf, pick a random book, and for that I have this little video. I spun around in circles so I could kind of lose my sense of direction and which shelves I was in, and then I'm feeling along the books looking for something that is shorter in length. Then I look at the shelf and see there's not really anything short there. I move along, kind of glancing and feeling until, oh, there's a little book right there. Wonder what this is. There's a pretty lady on the cover. It's got an intriguing, if bland, title. And look at what it's about. Then I decide I'm interested, and I should probably look at the publishing date, which is hard to do when you have a phone in your hand. Oh, we're good. The publishing date is good. This is the book. So I ended up with The Girl at, I want to say, Leon d'Or, and I'm probably completely butchering that because I barely passed French the one semester that I tried to do it in junior high. This is taking place in 1930s France. There's romance, there's secrets, there's a woman looking for work. That's all I know. And what publishing date do we have here? This was published in 1989. So I'm kind of looking forward to this. I like the photo on the cover. The premise sounds fairly interesting. It also sounds like a little bit of a romance, which will be a genre that I don't reach for. So again, another one that works for that prompt. Third prompt, TBR book you are the least excited for. If you recently watched my TBR tag, you will know that I am reading The Glass Room for that prompt. I have tried The Glass Room previously. This is a World War II fiction. I didn't totally understand what was going on in the beginning. So, I'm not super excited for it, but I'm still really curious about what it's about because I really have a thing for World War II fiction. So, and this is cutting it real close with a publishing date of 2009. And prompt number 4, a classic you rarely or don't see on BookTube. This one I fully expect you to find one well before the 2000s. Unless maybe you're doing a modern classic. But I think modern classics are before the 2000s too. I don't know. I'd have to look into that. I have My Antonia by Willa Cather. I don't hear a lot about My Antonia. Actually, I don't know that I've ever heard about it on the classics booktubes that I've watched. And this was published in 1918. So, yes, My Antonia. I know nothing about this. I just got it because it was one of the cheap used books at the Friends of the Library, and it went with the Barnes & Noble set that I currently am kind of collecting. That's why I got it. I know nothing about this book. Pioneer woman, daughter of Bohemian immigrants, childhood poverty, teenage seduction, and family tragedy. That sounds like something I would read. Okay, I think I'm going to enjoy this. And that would also work for the prompt of read a used book, which is the next prompt. So I do have separate books for each of these prompts, and if I don't get to each of these separate books, then I have other books that will probably also work for the prompts. So do with that what you will. But specifically for my used book prompt, I've gone with Sleep Softly by Gwen Hunter. And this would also work for mass paperback. And this is some kind of murder mystery. It's been a while since I've done a good murder mystery, so we'll see how this goes. I haven't heard of this one, so maybe it's not a good murder mystery. I don't know. I just want to read a murder mystery, and this is a very nicely conditioned used book. So, I've got that. Read a genre you don't typically reach for. This is another one that I have been recommended a lot, and it is out by Natsuo Karino. Japanese fiction. It's not something that I reach for or search out. I don't read manga or manga, depending on how you choose to pronounce it. I don't really do graphic novels in general. I did a little bit of Japanese fiction, like a quick taste whenever I read Ring by Koji Suzuki, back whenever my husband was taking his Japanese classes in college. So he's been wanting me to read this one for a while. And like I said, I don't typically reach for Japanese fiction, so that is going to be the one that I do for this. And again, this is also a used book. He probably got it off of like the used section of Amazon or something, but he says it's really good. He says I'll like it. This one is another murder mystery. Abusive husband. Okay. This mesmerizing novel tells the story of a brutal murder in the staid Tokyo suburbs as a young mother who works the night shift making boxed lunches strangles her abusive husband and then seeks the help of her co-workers to dispose of the body and cover up her crime. I think he's right. I think I'm going to really like this one. And my last prompt, and actually the book that I am the most excited for, the book that has been on my TBR the longest. Now for this, I didn't go with the book that has physically been on my TBR the longest. Instead, I went for the book that I have been searching for and most curious about and been wanting to get my hands on for the longest. I finally got it, and that is Towelhead by Alicia Arian. I want to say 13 or 14, and I was staying in a hotel with my mom because we were out of town for a dance competition. She turns on the TV, and somehow we find this movie. And very strong content, but she goes ahead and keeps it on the channel because I look like I'm really interested, and it discusses topics that I need to know more about at that age. Trigger warnings for racism, rape, the way that they deal with periods, that the parent deals with his daughter's period in this book is some rough stuff. Did I already say rape? I feel like I already said that. Just, there is a lot going on in this book. And whenever I would kind of get like nervous about the movie, then she would change the channel, and then I'd get curious again, and it's like, okay, go back to it, I want to see what happens next. And it took years of Google searching like different phrasings and plots and stuff that happened in this before I finally found the movie and thus the book, and I finally bought the book a couple months ago. I have been looking forward to this for years, therefore I am going to say that it has been on my TBR for the longest, whether or not I have physically owned it for the longest. So that is my Backlist book challenge TBR. I'm super excited to get this started on September 1st. I have a bunch of other books that I'm hoping to read as well outside of this challenge, but reading's been a little slower for me lately. Not necessarily because I've been in a slump, but just like I've been taking my time with it more. So we'll see how this goes, but I'm very excited. If anyone has already posted their TBR, link it down below in the comments for me, or just like message me when you do upload it and I will add it into the information at the bottom of this video. Thank you all for watching this. I hope you all participate. I'm super excited to talk about some older books here on BookTube, because I think we need to focus on older books every now and then. Have a lovely, lovely day, and I will see you in my next video.